What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam Palmer. I am your host. This is the Hobby News Daily Morning Minute. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, and on today's episode of the podcast, we are going to be talking about a new test that eBay is trying with sports cards on their website. So we have some updates on the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese WNBA rookie product. I was under the impression that they were going to be coming out with like a full WNBA National Treasures product. I thought that was going to be like super cool. And I think I have talked on the podcast about how this ended up just being a like one of the Mercury products where it was sold, and then I believe people were saying that it made it to the floor, like they did it in a Dutch auction for $30K, and it got down to the floor price, which was $3K. And then it ended up just being like a bunch of all the national treasures. And I mean, the cards are being pulled and the cards look great. It's just I'm a little bit disappointed with the actual release of the product. Now, I think I talked about that probably last week or the week before. And the update that I have now on today's show is that people are surprised on social media that the jerseys are not associated with any game or player. This is like a MO for the sports card industry right now. Like, I'm sure in some Topps products, they have specific game worn jerseys or patches, but for the WNBA, for Panini, they have pretty notoriously gone with this type of strategy, this type of, not putting the actual jerseys of players into these cards. Now, these are high-end products. Granted, they're not coming out of actual national treasures, which I think is, if I'm going to be honest, like I said, it's a little bit disappointing. I wish that they would have released these as specific products. I also wish that they would have done, actual products for them and not just this like mix and mash of rookies and cards, and like I said, it's a little disappointing, the product overall. But so just the update is basically that people are finding that the cards are the patches in the cards are not coming from products, or no, they're not coming from actual games or even any actual specific players, is what I'm seeing, which is Panini's MO. So whatever, we'll kind of move past that. The news that came out over like maybe the weekend or maybe it was Monday morning is that Panini is going to be adding extended timers to their auctions. This was something that eBay really hadn't done. Like, sniping cards was something that, if you play and this is actually interesting, if you play any sports games, if you play Madden, mainly Madden, I think it's mainly Madden, you're going to find that there's a thing in the buying and selling market called sniping. And essentially what that is that you can see the card selling under price at the last second. You can put a bid in really quickly, and hopefully the person that wanted to buy it also isn't paying attention. And you can buy the card for what is usually a cheaper price, by sniping. And we've seen with larger auction houses, they've added the extended timer to, I guess, in theory, not allow that to happen, which if I'm not mistaken, some places do it with just the specific card. But I have seen on like Golden, that they do the whole auction. The whole auction goes to the extended timer if one or two cards or however many cards end up getting more bids. All of the cards end up going to the extended timer, which I think is okay. I think it's with just in the industry of sports cards, it's the same thing that I've talked about for forever. It's the industry is always changing. You always have to be able to adapt, and unfortunately, adapting in the sports card industry is usually just a company figuring out how to make more money off of their customers. And for the people who are the ones making money on the secondary market, that means the adaptation really has to come specifically from you. So there's probably people who were making, I don't know. I don't think that there could have really been anybody who was making a living necessarily from sniping cards, because it is something that you have to know when the cards are ending. And I mean, if you're doing a lot of research. You probably could just favorite the card, what's it called, favorite the auction itself, and by the time it gets down to the end, if you have a bunch of them, or you have a bunch of them that you maybe even you put a bid on, that's another way to do it. Like if you are watching cards on eBay, that's a good way to do it. But now that they're adding this extended timer, or they're testing it, at least from what I've seen, I don't think it's necessarily 100% confirmed that they're testing the extended timer. That is going to, okay, so here's what people are posting. So we're currently testing an extended auction duration by 2 minutes when a bid is placed in the last 2 minutes of the auction. This test will apply to select items in the trading cards category. Please make sure you're on the latest version of the app to see this feature. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, sports cards are going to be one of the items that are ending probably the most often. The amount of stuff that sells on eBay is pretty astronomical, but I would say even the amount of stuff that sports cards have to be, I don't know, it has to be in maybe 50% of their business. And this is kind of why I've always complained that I thought eBay should step up and cater more towards sports cards. And they do. I think that they have done some stuff, but I think that there is some stuff that could be done better. And I don't know if it's like, I just think it should be easier to get to sports cards because of how big the clientele is for sports cards on that website. And with the extension of the timer, again, it just means that you're going to have to figure out a way to adapt. If you're somebody who was sniping cards and you were sniping them all the time, unfortunately, there's the 2-minute extender, which you're not going to, so it's going to be, and I'm sure what ends up happening, you get the notification on your phone too, that there's been a card that you either had a bid on or that you were watching that had got another bid. So then there's going to be extended, and it's going to be extended. It's going to keep going. The extended timer, at least, because if someone else puts in a bin, and then that's what's going to lead to, which I think ultimately what this is saying for eBay is that they're just trying to figure out a way to get people to spend more money on cards. They're in the business of making money the same way that anyone that is sniping cards is in the business of making money. But I guess, in theory, I hope that they don't keep it going, because I don't think it's that big of a market. They're really changing. But I think also it's like they're trying to shake the. They're trying to. I'm not. It's maybe a bad example. They're trying to turn the collectors upside down and shake the cents out of their pockets. They're trying to take the pennies and nickels out of their pockets because, I don't know what the reason would be for eBay, but it's just, that's what it seems like to me. It seems like they're trying to just get the extra couple bucks that someone would spend because they put a bid in the last few minutes, that it's going to extend the timer. It's going to extend the auction. It might be good for sellers because then you're going to get people who you can't just, put in a bid at the last second and then you win the auction. So maybe there's going to be more bidding wars going back and forth. But what I think it ultimately does is that it's going to hurt the people who are trying to buy the cards at the last minute. And, some people might say, well, who cares? But I think ultimately if this sort of notion, like people who buying sports cards on eBay is like one of their biggest audiences of people using the website. So if they're going to test it, maybe it'll go well, maybe it won't. But I think the testing of it, again, it is a thing that they're doing for sports cards specifically. So, maybe my thoughts that they aren't doing enough, eBay isn't doing enough for sports card people isn't correct. I just think that maybe their resources could be allocated in different ways rather than just trying to get people to spend like a couple extra bucks on, some random card, or a couple, $100 extra bucks on a card because it went to an extended auction.